Hey guys, it's SRC Reptiles, and today I'm going to be going through different steps that I do when I clean my Geckos tanks. So today I'm probably going to be able to do 3 or 4 tanks, completely deep cleaning them. Don't think I'll be able to do all 7 today, but we'll see. I'm planning on doing these 2, which Magma's is already done. And then I'm planning on doing this baby tank and Twix's tank up there. And then I'm planning on doing 2 of these sizes. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to those 2 or not. We'll see, because I have other things I have to do around the house today, not just an entire day of cleaning tanks. Otherwise, I'd definitely be able to do them all in one day. So it normally takes about 30 minutes to do 1 tank by itself. And normally it does not take that long to completely gut clean and do stuff, but it takes that long sometimes for items to dry. So for instance, Magma's tank I already have cleaned, and all of his silk plants are already dry because they have suction cups on them, so I just hang them on my shower wall after I'm done cleaning them, and then I have a little fan that's in there that blows on them, so that helps them dry quickly. And then in my kitchen, which I'll show you guys, I have some cleaning rags laid down that are dry, and I sit the larger items like cork logs and pieces of wood, anything like that that's thicker and requires dry time. And I have a little fan that's the same kind as this one over here that is blowing on those to help them dry. So probably in actual cleaning time, it probably took me about 3 minutes to completely take out all of his dirt, take out all the plants, put him in a little travel container, and then I have my bucket of soapy water. I always would suggest you have 2 buckets on hand. This one is just a cheapy one I got at Walmart. I think it was like $3. And it's Sterlite brand. I just reuse the original blue Dawn dish soap. And I mix it, of course, with warm water, warmest as I can stand without burning myself, because you want to have it warm so it actually cleans germs and stuff like that. I normally have a second bucket. I also got this one at Walmart. Here's the brand, just so you can see. And this is my bucket that I like to use to put my Eco Earth in so that it can sit there and expand. Normally, I will put a base amount of Eco Earth in each tank, and then if I have leftovers after each tank has gotten Eco Earth, then I'll go over and I'll add more. So I normally put about 1 inch to begin with. And then normally, like I said, if there's extra left over, I'll go and put a little bit more in each of the tanks. But because I have 7 in total, and I'm also going to be adding Eco Earth to this tank and that one up there, because those ones just have paper towels for now. I'm not sure how much I'm going to have left over. These 2 tanks here don't really take that much, but this tank here and this one take a lot. So this may seem like a decent amount, but it doesn't really cover that much. And Magma over here is just chilling in his tank. Normally by the time you've gotten everything put back that's plants and stuff, you can go ahead and put the tank or the gecko back in the tank and start with the next one while the larger items are drying. Hey, what are you doing? You need to stay in your tank so I can close the door. Go back in there. Thank you. So anyway, I'm going to be walking you through what I do with Ember's tank, because it's now her turn to get her tank cleaned. So I'm going to go ahead and find Ember. She's right there in her coconut. So we'll go ahead and get this. I will say you want to make sure you're wearing clothes. You don't care if they get wet or dirty or anything, so I've got pajamas on. So go ahead and get Ember collected here. So here is Ember. She, Magma, and Blaze are all 7 years old this year. And I know in a video I made in the past, I was accidentally saying they were 6 going on 7. And I went and looked, obviously, and they are 7 already. So these are my 3 seniors, Blaze, Ember, and Magma, which Magma, of course, is in that tank. Normally when I go and clean the tanks, I wipe down the front as well, so his name has got wiped off, but I'll put it on there again. And I'm going to pause this real quick so I can get this lid secure. So what I've done is I've slid this container underneath this bar because it's not wanting to completely close. So it's the same height as this, so this will keep her from trying to escape. So anyway, here is Ember's tank. I will say that stuff that has been secured to the top, I do not take down, because of the fact that it's really hard to get this string back through these little tiny holes of the metal. Normally I have to use these really sharp tweezers to widen an area and to loop it through with that, and it's a huge pain in the butt. It takes quite a while. So normally what I'll do is I'll get 2 bags, and these ones are already dirty in the bottom because I use them for Magmas. So I'll get a couple bags to put the decor in, So I'll go ahead and get some of these. I'll just show you me putting some of these in the bag other time. I mean, the rest of them I'm just going to turn my camera off and have both hands available. So, like I said, you just want to remove everything that is not secured to the tank. And I think the only things that are not fully secure, I mean, the only things that are secured to the tank are, I think, this vine here that attaches to the coconut, and the coconut, I think, is attached. Actually, the vine itself looks like it's not... Oh, I have the coconut tied to the vine, so this here is going to have to stay in there. I can obviously remove the suctions from the sides so I can clean the sides. And then the coconut and this plant here are staying, but you can still wipe over them, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this and take everything out, and then I'll come back and show you guys what it looks like afterwards. Okay guys, so here is Ember's tank completely emptied of everything but what is, like I said, attached to the top. So this vine here I can completely detach, but I'm going to leave this for now because I don't want that coconut hide pulling too much on the top there. So now we just go to work of removing the soil. And then, of course, I have lay boxes for all my females, whether or not they've been bred, because females sometimes will naturally produce eggs, and they're going to want somewhere that it has at least 3 inches depth of soil of some sort, and it has to be, of course, a safe kind for geckos. And normally I try to keep it pretty damp, so the bottom of it was still damp, but the top has dried out, of course, so I kind of mixed through it, and I will add water before I put it back in here. But, I normally always try to make sure that the container itself is at least the length of the gecko's body. So Ember has a really big one because she's 10 inches long, and even though this is not 10 inches long, I want to say it's probably 6 inches, so it does fit the length of her actual body. Her tail sometimes will stick out, obviously. Sometimes, too, the females like to just bury themselves. They'll do that. Whether or not the humidity is really dry, because obviously I don't let it get real dry in here. 48% is normally as low as it goes in the summer. Most of the time, otherwise, it's always in the mid-50s to early 60s. Or, yeah, early 60s. So, anyway, we're going to go ahead and now we'll take, which I should have said earlier, I don't remember if I said earlier, actually. I always will take a trash bag, and I always have it handy. And I will normally use my scoop that I have here, and I don't remember where I got this because I've had it since like 2016. And I normally will use it and go throughout the entire corner. And I'm wanting to get a little tiny broom, like hand brush or whatever the heck they're called, I don't know, to use to get out of the corners, because most of the time after I get the main stuff out, which I pile up with the scoop, then I normally will use my hand and get into the corners here to just kind of use my fingers and scoop that stuff out, and along the back there, just to kind of get all the old soil out as much as possible before I go to add new soil and, of course, clean the sides and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop this out. You guys have the gist of it. I'm not going to try to do it with one hand because normally I'll hold this bag with one hand and then I'll scoop with the other hand. And especially since I have a fan going behind me, it kind of blows the bag around a little bit when this is not against it, and of course it wants to sink and fall. So I'm not going to try to scoop the dirt. And you guys know what that looks like. I highly doubt anyone cares what me scooping dirt looks like. So anyway, I'll get that taken care of, and then we'll come back when it's finished and we'll wipe over the sides and stuff, because that I can do with one hand. Okay guys, so I have this door here. I already went and did this one because this one required a lot of scrubbing and I was not going to be able to do that with just one hand. But I'm going to hold this with my knee. There we go. That way I can show you guys. But normally I'll take the rag, get a real good... Whoop! Okay, I guess that's not going to work, so we'll just hold it with my foot. But I normally will get it real good and scrubbed, and then when we come to down here, sometimes it's hard to get in those corners, so I'll just use the little piece here, and I'll kind of just get in that corner like this. And you can see sometimes it works, it gets a little bit of dirt there, and I did not do that with this one. So we'll go ahead and get this one as well. There we go. And you can see it got the dirt out of there. And then of course, when it comes to the front here, it's inevitable. They're always going to poop on the wall, and it's going to get onto this part here. So I will normally use that little corner piece like I just showed you guys to go along here. And then what I'll do is I'll take one end and I'll hold it with my left hand, which is currently holding the camera, and then I'll hold the other end and I'll kind of loop it, and I'll pull with both hands so that I can kind of get a friction going between here. And then I'll also put the towel through this area and clean in that spot, because you can see right here it gets dirty in that area. So by looping the towel through this crack that's right there, which of course I have to use both hands for. So I'm going to go ahead and get this rag wring out of the stuff that I just got on it, and then I'm going to go ahead and clean that, and then I'll come back and show you cleaning like the walls of the tank and stuff. Okay, so I went ahead and of course got the other side of the door wiped down because I forgot, and then I got those corners clean, and you can see how well that cleaned it up in there. So what we'll do now is remove all these suction cups. And I really like getting the larger ones here that have like those little pull tabs at the side here, because that really helps get the suction cup actually off the glass. And you don't really want to have it leaning for long, or hanging I should say, just because of the fact, oops, gotta get that one off, there we go. Just because of the fact it's pulling on the mesh up here and you really don't want it to damage it. So normally I won't clean the bottom because that's obviously covered in soil, and you can already see I've got a lot on my rag here. But that happens sometimes because to clean this entire area here, you will normally get soil on it. That's why I like folding it into corners, because I can just flip it around and have a clean part. And always want to make sure you go over this part here that's like a vent type deal that helps the air come out here, because that gets pooped on plenty of times as well. Okay. So now we still have this clean side. It does have a little bit of dirt, so I'm going to wash that rag off real quick, and then we'll get this side here, and then we'll be done wiping the tank down. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and do this part, and we'll get that suction cup detached so that I can wipe along this area here. Most of the time you don't have to wipe this dry. Oh, that plant's getting in the way, sorry. Most of the time you don't have to wipe this dry if you've got a fan going in the room of any sort, because as you can see, like this door here is already dry, just from that fan over there going and blowing in the corner. So anyway, I'm going to wipe over this one more time. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and change that water out now, because I normally don't use the same water to clean several tanks. Normally I'll just use the same water for 2 tanks and call it good, because you don't obviously want to get the water too dirty, because if you look in here, it is starting to get a little bit of a brown color just from getting the soil in there, and you can't see to the bottom anymore. It's kind of got a brown color to it. So we're going to go ahead and get some more fresh water put in there, but otherwise that's how I wipe the tanks down. Sorry that it's kind of a little wonky. My boyfriend works today, which is convenient because I wanted him to help me make a video, but I'm just doing it by myself because I wanted to get this made, and I also wanted to clean my tanks. So I needed to get them clean. It'd been like 2 or 3 months since I've cleaned them, especially when we were in the process of moving. I wanted to get around to doing it, and we weren't able to because of all the stuff we had to pack and things. So it feels good to be able to get the tanks clean. So anyway, now we're going to go off and get this stuff going in the tub. So I'm going to attach these suction cups back to the side real quick, and then I'll show you guys how I do the cleaning of the stuff in the tub, and then we have Serenity just randomly watching because he is always curious. So anyway, let's go. Okay guys, so I'll show you real quick. This is my little drying setup I have for anything that is bulky. So you can see here that we've got the cork logs, which I'm going to go ahead and flip over now and turn, just because they have been sitting like that. This may be dry. Yep, this looks like it's almost dry. I'm just going to let it flip over and get the bottom. Otherwise, it looks like it's almost ready. So we'll go ahead and go into the bathroom. Okay. So I'll get my little clog dilly put in. There we go. So this here is the Dawn dish soap that I use, and I've got a really large one for it because this this house, I should say, that we're renting doesn't have a dishwasher like our apartment did, so I bought the big boy package of soap here. Got a piece of moss floating in the water there from when I cleaned Magma's stuff. With this, you want to get the water as hot as possible. You're not really going to have your hands in it very much, except for when you're scrubbing the stuff. And I will normally put a pretty generous amount of soap in there. And I get down in here with my hand and suds it up. Whoops! Don't do that though. Okay, so normally I'll let it get a little bit more full than this, but after that I'll call it good, because you don't need a whole bunch of water, because you're not going to be soaking the stuff. It's not new items, or it's not used items, I should say. New items you don't have to soak, unless they're like plants with artificial, artificial plants and they've got dye in them and stuff, then yes, you'll want to soak them. Otherwise, if it's just cleaning, you don't need super deep water. So that amount will work. So now I'll go ahead and get our plants and we'll start cleaning them and stuff. If you have plants that you're buying used from someone, instead of putting soap in here, you'll put the F10 and you'll dilute it in the water. And it won't be an exact measurement, but normally if I'm filling the tub up to, let's say, about right here, so probably 3 or 4 inches in depth, if I'm soaking a lot of stuff. Obviously, if you only have 1 or 2 things, you don't need to put that much water. But if you're doing that, I normally do a little capful of the F10, which I'll show you what F10 looks like here in a second. But anyway, camera did something weird. When I'm soaking F10, you want to wear gloves. You do not want to handle F10, like I said before, with bare hands. It will irritate your skin, even if it is diluted. So anyway, like I said, this is just Dawn dish soap. We will go ahead and go get the plants, and then we'll start cleaning. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and pick out a bag. So I don't think I'll do this one on camera because it's got glass in it, and it also has a large piece of wood. So we're going to go ahead and just lean that up over here. And then we'll go ahead and get this bag. So this one here has all of the stuff. Let me get my rag real quick to wipe the side here. Get all the water off. Okay, so normally I'll sit down at the tub here. Obviously don't normally hold your camera while you're doing this. I'm just going to make sure I'm very careful and don't drop it. So normally I'll take the plant like I've got it here, and I'll just go ahead and lay them in there face down. Now when it comes to feeding ledges, and like the soap dishes I use for their ledges as well, I normally will wash those by hand. I will not put them in here because I don't want the suction cups and stuff coming off, or any of the plastic getting broken. So those will go off to the side. So normally I'll just stick my hand in the water like this, and I will violently thrash the plants around to get anything off that may be attached to the leaves. And then before I drain the water, you always want to make sure you take anything, like that hair was in the drain dealie that I have here. But those fake leaves there, you don't want those going down the drain, obviously. So I will always take them out of the water before I drain the water, which I would hope that other people would also pay attention and do as well. Because you don't want that going into the pipes and stuff. Obviously, most of the stuff, if anything that's on these, is poop and dirt. So, and I'm not really too concerned about wearing gloves because this is soapy water that I've got my hands in. If it was just regular water, yes, I would make sure I'd wash my hands and stuff. But also, I'm not going to be touching my face or my mouth while I'm cleaning the gecko stuff anyway, so I'm not too concerned. Okay. I think this is most of the plants here. I think, did I get these ones in the back? We'll do them again just to be sure. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and rinse them, and then we'll hang them on the shower wall. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. Now when I'm rinsing them, I do not drain the water because I'm going to be putting the other decorations in here. But while the other decorations are getting washed, these of course can be hanging on the shower wall itself. So we'll go ahead and get the water turned on. Normally I'd have 2 hands to do this, and I would kind of just squeeze the plant. Ah! Got it in my eye. Okay, kind of just do this and then just hang it on the wall like that. So I'm not going to do all of them on camera, I'll just show you a couple of them. Ooh, that is a little too hot for me. And of course, if I notice any poop or anything that's been left over after they've been hung up, then I will take them down and re-clean them. So, I'm just going to show you those two and then I'm going to do the rest off camera. But normally I'll hang them all up and down the shower wall here, and then I'll get the larger items that have to be soaked a little bit longer or scrubbed really well, like cork and anything like that. And I'll clean those while those are hanging to dry. So, and of course I've got my little fan over here in the corner going. So I will come back when I'm done and show you guys my progress. Okay guys, so I wanted to show you real quick because I've got the rest of the stuff that I'm going to put in the tub in here. All the plants have been hung on the wall to dry for now. So when it comes to the cork, I'm going to move this out of the way. Normally what I'll do is I'll press it all the way against the ground and I'll do this number just to get water flowing from the inside. Now if this is a cork half and it's not a log, then you could probably still do this, but it's not as necessary. And then with both hands I'm going to use my hands to kind of scrub this, but for now I'll just kind of show you. So I normally will rub it back and forth with my hand like that to get it clean, and you can see how much like pieces of cork and of dirt come off in the water. So anyway, then of course with the piece of wood, I normally will scrub it with my hand and I'll go and have it like going through the water and stuff, which this is like manapani wood or something strange like that. I don't really care for this wood very much, so that's why I like river wood now, which is what's in Magma's tank. Manapani or grapevine, whichever this is, I can't remember. The wood is nice and all, but it takes forever to dry, and it can grow mold if it's not completely dry before being put back in the tank. So it just takes forever to dry. So I definitely would always say, if you can get cork, or if you can get riverwood, at least those do not mold. The riverwood dries pretty quickly. The cork takes a little bit longer, but at least I've never had mold issues with either of those, but this wood I've had mold grow on it before, so it has to get completely dry pretty much before it can go back in the tank. Okay guys, so while the stuff that we just washed is drying, we're going to go ahead and add some soil in here, and this is the last little piece that I had left to soak, because this piece that was on top, which you can see it's plenty soaked now, that piece was still kind of dry, so I added some more water. So normally I like to fluff it up. I'm not really sure what's going on with the coloring, because it's making my bucket look really bright blue and my soil look orange. That's kind of weird. So you know, this bucket is actually like really dark blue, and this is like a dark chocolate color, so I'm not really sure what's going on with the coloring of my phone. Either way, it really don't matter that much. So we'll go ahead and pull the bucket around here. Kind of have a little bit more of a normal color now. Okay, so normally I'll take handfuls and I'll just put it in like this. I like to kind of get any clumps out so that it spreads as good as possible. And like I said, I like to put at least an inch in there to begin with. So I'll kind of just spread that around with my hand. Now obviously if you wanted to use something else than Eco Earth you can. I really enjoy using plantation soil, which is for dart frogs and stuff, when I can find it, because it's a lot finer of a material, and it's not got these big blobs of like just cocoa fiber in it like the cocoa husk Eco Earth does. I got magma over here. You can see this is just a really large piece of fiber, and I just really don't care for that, because if my geckos were for some reason to lunge at the soil thinking they saw a bug, if they got a mouthful of that, that's really hard for them to get out of their mouth to like spit out. Like, yes, they can use their feet to like spit it out and stuff, to grab it out of their mouths and everything. But I like the plantation soil when I can find it, because like I said, it's a lot finer. It's made for frogs, so you can still use it for stuff like crested geckos. So anyway, there is about the amount of soil that I'm going to put in for now, and then I'm going to wash my hand off so that I can get this dirt off my hand and not have it get all over the place. I still have about half a bucket left, so I may be able to do more than 2 more tanks. Actually, I probably should be able to do at least 3 tanks on this amount. I might be able to do 4, possibly. We'll have to see. Either way, I'll come back when some of Ember's plants are dry and we can start hanging stuff. And of course I'm going to move these around so that they look nice again and not just like attached to the side so that, you know, they're not hanging. But yeah, so we went ahead and got the soil added, so that's the really easy part. It takes like 2 seconds. Ember still chilling in her little corner down there. I'll probably go ahead and get that Eco Earth in her lay box wet while my hand is still dirty. That way I'm not having to rinse my hand twice. But anyway, like I said, I'll come back when I've got the plants dry and we'll go putting stuff in. Okay guys, so I'm going to show you something real quick. So I was going through and just kind of blowing these plants off of one more time before I hung them up. And I noticed that this one here has got a crack in it, in the plastic. And you can see that orangish stuff is actually rust from exposed metal. So this one's going in the trash. So I will tell you guys right now, and I'll come in here, because all these ones on the floor are just chilling, because they're the ones I've already dried off. So this is a vine plant that I got from Pangea, and I believe it's like Zoomed or Exoterra brand, I can't remember. And it's one of those like 10 or 12 foot ones that you get, and I can't remember, they're normally around, I want to say $12, $15, somewhere in there. I'll put the price on the screen, because they still sell these. So I just wanted to let you guys know, if you ever have anything that you get in the from an order, like in the mail, and it has anything like this, like right off the bat, then I would definitely say something to the company. I will say right now that these plants here are really notorious for having exposed metal, and I have had to cover almost every single one of them with hot glue. So that normally keeps the metal from rusting, and it also keeps the metal from scratching your gecko, because that's like right there at the top. If your gecko were to be walking past and scratch itself against that, especially if it's rusty and you don't realize it, like that piece right there that's going in the trash, because let me see if I can find one that yeah, this one here, when I discovered it, it was rusted. You can see that kind of brownish color, and you can not really completely tell, but there is a point to it you can kind of see right there. But yeah, these plants are notorious for coming this way, and I don't know why they don't actually check these things before they send them, because there have been times I've gotten these brand new in the mail, and there will be a piece of metal sticking up off the top. So I have to go and put hot glue on every single one, and I guarantee, see now look, this one right here, the hot glue must have come off in the bath, because there's the piece of metal sticking up right there. So this one here I'm going to have to put hot glue on before I put it back, and you can see it's pretty sharp. It's catching my finger there. I'm not obviously going to cut myself with it because it's rusted. But yeah, you have to be really careful when you get stuff, even if it's safe for reptiles, because of the fact that companies aren't actually meticulous and make sure that stuff is safe for the animal before they go and send them to you. So just wanted to put that in there real quick, just for you guys to know. And then I'm going to, of course, like I said, glue that one up before I put it back in her tank, because the hot glue came off. But anyway, almost completely done. I just have these two plants up here to dry, and then we'll be putting the plants in the tank. So there's that. And then, of course, we just have that one piece of cork. It's dry now, so I'm going to go put it in Magma's tank real quick. But just wanted to tell you guys that, because it's important, and I don't think a lot of people mention it or pay attention to it when they're making videos about plants and stuff. Because I've watched a few videos where they just take them right out of the package and put them in the tank, and it's like, you didn't just do that, did you? It's like you didn't check to make sure there was nothing exposed metal-wise. And I found out by accident, because I went to put my hand in the tank one day to grab one of my geckos, and I actually got scratched by the metal there because I was putting my hand along the glass to pick them up. And when I went to pull my hand back, it scratched like this backside part of my wrist here. And that's when I started being really cautious about like what I buy and where I buy it from. And even when you get these off of Pangea, no matter if you buy them in the store or from Pangea or from Zoomed or Exoterra or wherever, they still come with these pieces of metal sticking out. So yeah, just wanted to make you guys aware, whenever you buy hanging plants, check to make sure there's no metal showing. Just to show you guys real quick, this is what the top of the plants are supposed to look like. There's supposed to be this plastic little nub here. That's what covers the metal. And not every single one of them has that piece, as you've seen. This one here is one of the very first plants that I got for Ember. And it's one of the few that I've held on to because it's still doing good. Yeah, it does have some stuff missing from the bottom there. But you can see this is the one that I've covered, and I think I've probably covered this one twice in the time that I've had it, so that hot glue stays on really well, and you saw how I was really moving those around in the water. So if you put a really good glob of it on there and you let it dry properly, it will last. But I just wanted to show you guys, this is what they're supposed to look like. This is most of the time how they come. And it doesn't necessarily depend on the age of the plant or how long you've had it, because that piece is not supposed to break off. Like, if it does, then you're being way too rough when you're cleaning. So, especially if you can see where that hot glue little nub is still on there. That plastic is way stronger than that hot glue. So, just kind of throwing that in there for you guys. Okay guys, so we're almost finished. I'm not going to show the entire thing put back together. I will have a picture at the end just to show you what her tank looks like with all of the decorations, but I'm just going to show you guys me putting the plants in there, and then, like I said, at the end there will be a photo of when everything else is put in. But it obviously is going to be a while before the large either grapevine or manapani wood is dry, because like I said, that stuff has to be completely dry before I can put in, and then the cork log is still pretty damp. But I have this nice large pile of plants here that we're going to be putting in, but I cannot stress enough, and if you guys have made it this far through the video, thank you for watching. But I can't stress enough that it is extremely important to put plenty of plants and hides in your gecko's tank. So for instance, you want to offer not only ground cover, see, like with Magma's, I've got all of his stuff put in here now, so you don't want to offer only ground cover, but you want something that they can climb on, places that they can hide, places they can perch, plenty of areas that they can seek shelter if they are feeling frightened in any way. And if I had to guess, there's probably at least 20 pieces of decoration items in his tank, if I had to guess. I didn't count, but he's got a plant, 2 cork logs in this branch that are on the ground / going up to the hanging plants. He's got a fern in the back, as well as a vine that attaches to his coconut hide, his ladder, and then I think he's got 3 plants on this side, 3 on this side, and then 1 on the door with his little ledge right here, as well as his mushroom ledge. So I'll do a tally of that and put it on the screen of how many things I just said, because I can't keep track of it while I'm talking about it. But with Ember, we can count while we're going. So for instance, she's got her teapot, which needs to be cleaned. She has 2 ledges that are for perching in, those types there. And then she's got her manapani wood and her, what was the other thing? And her cork log. So I'll put a tally on the screen while I'm going along, because I can't keep track of it while I'm talking. So we've also got this large leaf here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We've got 6 hanging plants right here just by themselves, varying lengths. So this one here is the, I believe, 2-foot long one. Yes, this one is the 2-footer. So she's got 2 of these. Magma has 1 in his tank, but he has a crap ton of the 12 inches and 18-inch ones, which this one here is an 18-inch plant. And then the 12-inch plants are the smaller ones. So I think this one's an 18. Yes, this one's an 18. So this one here would be the 12-inch. So this one here is a smaller one. So they have varying sizes of plants, not just all the same type. And I also put different types in each one. So like for instance, this one here is like the hemp leaf or something, I believe is that one. This one here is like the Mexican pothos or something like that. And then we've got these ones here, which is like a Mexican filio or something like that. So which this one by far is my favorite when it comes to coverage. This one and the hemp, or whatever you want to call this one. I do like this one, but it's plastic, and I really just don't care for plastic that much. And then, of course, this one here is pretty much this plant, but in plastic form. So that kind of gives you an idea. And then, of course, this leaf here is huge, and it won't be able to go into the tank till we have that piece of wood to go in here, because it attaches. As you see, I've made a little loop there, and then it has a suction cup there at the end. So that's her one area that she can enjoy spreading out if she doesn't want to get up here. Magma really likes his ladder and his mushroom ledge, so I never got him anything like this, but I will always suggest having one large item, at least one, to be able to support their body so that they can enjoy being out and about. And you can see my corn snake over here, Raja, also has a ladder. He absolutely, or a bridge, he absolutely loves climbing on this thing. A friend of mine was over recently and did not know that corn snakes enjoyed having bridges, so she was asking me about it. And I can put a picture in here. He loves to get on that bridge and just lay there, and he likes to watch whatever I'm doing in the tank. So anyway, I'll stop babbling now, and we'll go ahead and put the hanging plants in here. I just wanted to go over making sure that I stress the fact that that you need to make sure you have enough plants. And if you have a smaller tank like that one up there, then yeah, you don't want to have 1,000 things in there. You want to make sure that there's coverage, but not so much that they can't move around. You don't want it so sparse that you can just look in there immediately and see them, unless they're like magma and they're just out watching you. But you don't want to look in there and just immediately find them, but you also don't want to look in there and be like, it's full, it's a jungle, you can't even see anything, honestly. So you don't want it to be too full, but you don't want it to be too sparse. So anyway, we'll go ahead and put the plants in now. Okay, so like I said, we're going to go ahead and hang the plants. The 2-footer plants, I already went and stuck in the tank because they require both my hands to get them in there. And this coconut is fighting me all of a sudden. There we go. They require both my hands to get them in there because they are a large plant, and I normally will pull at least one frond out to the side so that it covers whatever it's wrapped around. So like for instance, this hides that suction cup and stuff by having that plant over it. I like having the really large plants normally in the back corner because that goes all the way from the top to the bottom of the tank. And if it's in the middle of the tank, then normally I like to have 2 short ones in the back to support it so it's not just kind of leaning all over the place. So we'll go ahead and take the plastic and we'll pick a little home for it. And I went ahead and checked all of these. Oh wait, that reminds me. I think I had that one I didn't remember to cover with hot glue. Hold on a second. Okay guys, so like the doodah brain that I am, I forgot to hot glue this specific one with that metal I was showing you guys earlier. So it's going to be in the heating process while we hang everything else, and then I'm just going to leave that area blank on that side so we can add that back in. So most of the time if I put a plastic plant on one side, I will put a silk one with it, because I don't like to have plastic on both sides. It just makes it easier for them to climb if you've got a silk and a plastic. And then I'm leaving a space open over here, and I might do it on this side, we'll have to see, because now that I don't have that plant to be on the door because it had exposed metal, the one I showed you I threw away, I might put a ledge on the door along with his feeding ledge, or her ledge I should say. But she's down in here patiently waiting for her tank to get finished. So, normally, how do I do this? Normally, she's got that piece of wood there, so I think I'll put just one plant right here. Because we're going to have the really big one back in the corner, and then we're going to put this last one here on the door. I normally like to have at least one on the door, so that there is kind of cover from being directly seen, except I am going to lower that a teeny bit so that it covers a little bit more of that bottom part. Not completely covered, and sometimes, like with those, I'll have an extra, and I normally will have it suctioned, but that one has fallen off. But I'll normally have a plant suctioned to the bottom here, but like with magmas, there is plenty of cover in that area. And then with Ember, she has a cork log right here, and that manapati wood is like right there, or manapani, I should say. So it's suctioned right there, and then she has cork. So with these two, I don't normally have anything along the front. So I'm going to go ahead and check and see if anything else is dry for hers. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this going. It's starting to get hot, so that should be able to be fixed right now, which I actually think I can show you guys, because I can hold this with my foot. And then I can show you how I cover. It's very simple, but just in case, because I'm sure someone out there is going to want to know. So let me get this in focus. Sorry that my toe is there, but you guys are just going to have to deal with it. I'm sorry. Okay, so yes, this is ready. So normally I will go ahead and I'll just stick it right here, and I'll do a little spin. Make sure it is all the way encased, and then I try to flatten it out without having any come out. Okay. So there is how I do it. I just kind of make a little globe around the entire piece, and I'll keep anything from touching it so that it can dry. If it'll show up, because my phone is great at focusing on things. Okay. So there's what it looks like. So anyway, we'll wait for that to dry, and then, like I said, we'll see if anything else in the kitchen is dry to be able to put into the tank. Okay guys, so I will go ahead and say real quick, the Manapani, or grapevine, and I know I say it wrong, Manapani, I believe is how it's actually pronounced, but I keep saying it fast and I say it wrong. The Manapani is almost completely dry, which is good news. It's not taking too long, and what I've just been doing is flipping it so that the air can reach different parts of it, which actually I think I'm going to flip it this direction now. But, see if I can get to balance. And like I said, I just have this stuff I got at the craft section of Walmart. It's a type of string, but it's plastic, and if you have, I would mainly suggest having jewelry type tweezers, or not tweezers, pliers, there we go, to tie this. It is extremely hard to tie this with just your bare fingers. If you warm it up by having it in your fingers and then you can stretch it, it stretches really well. You normally want to warm it up and stretch it and then tie it, and make sure you have those pliers and hold one side with your finger and then the other side with the pliers and pull it as tight as you can, because otherwise it will actually untie itself, because where it's plastic, the only time it'll actually stay is if it's warm, and it kind of, when it becomes cold again, it stays in that shape, if that makes sense. So this stuff's really nice as long as you've got pliers to help you tie it. And then of course her cork has still quite a ways to go. It's still pretty damp, so that one's not going to be ready. I will say that I got this little teapot, which has held up really well because I've had this for about 4 years. And I got this at Joann's Crafts and Fabrics, and it's a birdhouse actually, and it had like a little metal chain, which I just removed, but it has held up really well. She enjoys using that every so often, and where it's ceramic, that paint's not going to come off, and I've actually, like I said, I've had it for quite a while. You can see none of the paint has chipped off at all, and it still looks really nice, and it cleans up really well. Like, it does have a little stain down in the bottom there, but otherwise it cleans, like I said, pretty well. And then these little 3D printed ledges, I've done reviews on in a long time ago, but these are through Strudy's, and he is on Etsy, and he makes 3D printed hides and food dish ledges, as well as a lot of stuff for leopard geckos as well on Etsy. And I think that one was like around $7 or something. It comes with suction cups. But here's the company, because he sent a little magnet last time. Really cute stuff that he has. You can pick the colors you want. Shipping is pretty reasonable, and it gets to you pretty quickly. Sometimes he'll even send 3D printed dishes with some of the stuff. With these ledges, though, you would have to order that as an extra, but otherwise it works really well. I like ordering stuff through him. Not sponsored, I'll just say that right now. Just saying, I really enjoy buying stuff from Strudy's on Etsy. Okay guys, so we're coming to the end of the video. I'm going to go ahead and release Ember into here so that she can just be in the tank and out of this little travel container. And then I'll add stuff in there and take a photo when everything's dry, and I'll have that at the end of the video, so if you guys are curious what it looks like all together. Anyway, this is what it's looking like with just the plants. So I'm going to have a couple areas. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one of her ledges instead of over in this corner, because I got to thinking the piece of wood is going to go through this area, so it's going to be really crowded in just that one corner with her wood and her plant that goes across right here, which you guys, if you remember back at the first of the video, the plant stretches across here. So I got to thinking, I'm going to just put a ledge up here, and then I'm going to have one on the door as well as her feeding ledge, like I've done here with Magma. And we're going to call it good, because I didn't want to put it right here, because when you close this plant is right there, so that would have been kind of pressing against that. So I didn't want to mess with doing that, but I'll show you real quick. This is, of course, the plant I was talking about that goes across right here, and it's got some hot glue on it because I actually glued a spot. Because this suction cup in particular is not rust proof, or it's not stainless steel, I should say. Some of the suction cups you can get are made for the gecko tanks, so they're not going to rust on you. But this one in particular was just from the craft store, so I always covered that rust up with hot glue whenever I notice it, which I think we should be okay. I don't think that's really doing anything on the side there. Anyway, I want to just show that to you. She's getting antsy in here. She just jumped at the plastic. So we're going to go ahead and let her out. And we're going to go ahead and put her up here for now. She's probably going to be all freaked out because there's nothing in her tank right now. But she's got her plants at least. And she probably will go into her coconut. But I just wanted to show this to you guys. And for anyone who's interested or curious, this is a 18 by 18 by 24. And the only reason that Ember is for sure in this tank is because, like I said at the beginning, she is 10 inches long. I wanted to make sure she had plenty of room to spread out her body. Magma here, I believe, is like 8 or 9 inches, and so is Blaze. Well, actually, no, Blaze is 8 inches. Magma is 9 inches. But he also got this large of a tank just because at the time Blaze was staying in a different tank, and you can see, like I said, she went in her coconut. I'm going to go ahead and close this so it's not so loud for her. But I was planning on in the future, when I have an actual house that I'm living in and I'm owning and not one I'm renting, getting Blaze one of these as well, because she was one of the 3. And if I were to ever end up having to sell my entire collection except for the ones I started out with, Blaze, Magma, and Ember would be the only ones I'd be keeping, because like I said, they were the originals that I started out with. So I wanted to make sure that they got treated the best and had the largest tanks. Blaze, though, unlike the other 2, she really doesn't explore her tank very much. And hers is going to be getting redecorated big time when I clean it, because I don't like how it looks right now. I like that she has a bridge and that she has this steel here, but I don't like the rest of the aesthetics. So I'm probably going to take this piece of wood out, put a couple plants on the ground there to offer more cover, because I don't like how open it is. And then I might raise that bridge up a little bit more so it's a little bit higher. But she loves sleeping in the soap dish. That's mainly where she always hangs out. Or she will sleep in this plant here on the door. So she's not very active compared to the other 2. But I feel like if she had all that space, she probably would be more active. But yeah, so in the future, someday she will have a nice large tank. But for now, these 18 by 18 by 18s are plenty big enough for an adult. I would just always suggest getting this size if you can, but this size is way more expensive than this one. So that's something to consider. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it educational and informative on how I kind of do things and different, little tricks and stuff I use to kind of get stuff cleaned and dried a little bit quicker. So while still getting it, like I said, cleaned. You don't want to be nasty and just barely rinse over the things and not use soap or anything like that. So this is if you want to do a complete deep clean and make sure you're meticulous about getting stuff cleaned and dried and all that good stuff. And like I said, stay tuned till the end if you want to see what Ember's tank looks like once it has been completely refilled and everything is dry. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you'd like to support the channel. It always encourages me to make more videos in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good rest of your day.